and other parts of the country. We bring you updates on the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the global, African, and Nigerian economy. Here are the following updates we have at the moment. At the global level, the confirmed cases are 2,531,804, while we have 174,236 deaths recorded. 665,458 recoveries have been recorded so far across the globe. In Africa, confirmed cases are 24,170, while 1,171 deaths were recorded today. 6,258 recoveries were updated today from the African Center for Disease and Control. In Nigeria, the current confirmed cases are 665, with 22 deaths and 188 recoveries. Now to the latest stories. In the United Kingdom, human trials of a potential vaccine for coronavirus are set to begin later this week. British Health Minister Matt Hancock said Tuesday that a vaccine developed by researchers at Oxford University will be tested on people from Thursday. In normal times, reaching this stage would take years, and I'm very proud of the work taken so far, he said in a Daily News briefing. Mr. Hancock said he will make £20 million, which is about $24.5 million, available to the scientists at Oxford University, as well as an additional £22.5 million in funding for researchers at Imperial College London. Nothing about this process is certain, he said. Vaccine development is a process of trial and error and trial again. That's the nature of how vaccines are developed. The UK has been criticized by some for being too slow in its response to the pandemic and for a lack of testing and personal protective equipment across the nation. Now to Nigeria. Nigeria's education sector is on the spotlight as the federal government has postponed the Senior School Certificate Examination organized by the West African Examinations Council and the National Examinations Council exams for the year amidst the coronavirus outbreak. Mr. Emeka Nwajubu, Minister of State for Education, announced this today during a press briefing monitored on national television, Channels TV. WAEC and NECO for the year have been postponed indefinitely. The students can learn online. We have made a lot of provisions for that. The director of FCT has also opened a portal for the process. We are working with the Ministry of Information to escalate education content to provide for everyone at home. Our biggest challenge is to reach children who do not have devices, but we are working with radio corporations to instill some of that for primary and secondary students, the Minister of State for Education in Nigeria said. Now we move to Europe and Germany. The mayor of the city of Berlin, Michael Müller, told reporters today that to be able to protect people in trains, buses, and trams, his city government intended to make protection of the nose and mouth compulsory from April 27. Unlike in shops, it was not possible to ensure a distance of several meters between each person in public transport, he said. Following similar announcements from states including Bavaria, Baden-Württemberg, Hamburg, and Hesse yesterday and today, 10 of Germany's 16 regions have now announced similar rules. Müller and other state premiers were keen to emphasize that improvised masks would also be acceptable. I said protection of the nose and mouth. It can also be a scarf, said the Berlin mayor. Though the new rule will be limited to public transport in Berlin, other states such as Bavaria, Hesse, Baden-Württemberg have also made covering up compulsory in shops. And while the capital will only introduce the measures from next week, others such as Saxony are already enforcing them. The move to make masks compulsory comes after Germany began to cautiously lift coronavirus restrictions from Monday, with shops under 800 square meters allowed to reopen in most states. Following a meeting with the state premiers to agree on the new relaxations last week, Chancellor of Germany Angela Merkel said she strongly recommended wearing a mask on public transport and in shops. International bottling company Coca-Cola, through its chairman and CEO Mr. James Quincey, said today that easing restrictions on businesses during this period will be very critical to understand how it will impact the global business community. According to him, we shouldn't assume each step forward is permanent necessarily. Quincy said on the CNBC program Squawk on the Street. According to him, people must recognize that the economic restart must be done in phases. Quincy also stated that to be cognizant that there could be steps backward in some countries as the virus flares up again. Mr. Quincy also noted that Japan and Singapore have had to adjust their approaches following the developments in those countries after new cases began to surge. According to him, Japan has had to lock down a little harder. Singapore has had to go back more into the lockdown, he said. He also noted that the beverage giant is releasing its first quarter earnings very soon, which consumers and stakeholders will take note of. The company benefited in the period from consumers stocking up on products in response to stay-at-home orders, but warned it expects a material impact in the second quarter due to the movie theater and restaurant closures. Coca-Cola, with its global footprint, knows the recovery from the coronavirus will be a winding path, Mr. Quincy said. We're going to have to manage each country. We're going to have to move our learnings around as a Coke system, he said. Shares of Coke were down about 1.5% today to around $45 each. The state of Georgia, where Coke is headquartered, on Monday announced plans to lift restrictions on many businesses. Tattoo parlors, gyms, and hair salons can reopen on Friday as long as they follow social distancing and sanitary requirements, while restaurants can begin to offer restricted dining meals on Monday. Drawing on Coke's experience in countries that have eased restrictions, Mr. Quincy said, clearly you see there are groups of consumers that when the door is open, they'll come and re-engage with the world on those terms. Others are more cautious and continue to try avoiding channels and locations where you congregate until they see more clearly the virus has dissipated, he said. In Georgia specifically, where Coca-Cola is headquartered, Mr. Quincy said he had no expectation there's going to be a snapback to normal on Friday or Monday morning. Now, still in the United States, President Donald Trump has ordered a funding plan for the U.S. oil companies that are struggling with supply gluts. We reported to you yesterday that the U.S. recorded a 300% decline in the WTI crude oil price to close at $0. Today, the U.S. oil market is picking up momentum as it closed at $10 per barrel at the WTI space. The White House intervention in the oil sector could help stabilize the market amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. In addition, the oil-producing exporting countries' ministers are meeting to look at drastic measures to address the recent disruptions and developments in the oil markets. And that will be all for our lockdown phase 2 day 8, the coverage and COVID-19 updates. You can visit our website www.proshareng.com to get more updates on our news stories and videos. ProShare, Nigeria's leading information hub, has packaged for you this period of the pandemic a platform that gives you credible and reliable market data and analysis of the impact of COVID-19 on the global and Nigerian economy. All you need to do is to log on to proshareng.com/COVID-19 and you'll get all those analysis and reports. You can also follow our social media platforms showing on the screen for further updates on our market reports. Till we come your way again, thank you for watching, have a nice day, and stay safe.